Hi, I'm Anthony with Rent to Tread, and we're going to go over the Reebok RL 7.0. Sometimes you'll actually see Super Ramp put onto that tagline as well. First off, I just want to go over the manufacturer real quick. Like, who is Reebok? You know it for shoes. Reebok's actually branded by a company called Icon Fitness, who also makes Nordic Track, Proform, Health Rider, Epic, Lifestyler, and others. If you go to Costco, if you go to Sears, if you go to a lot of different online sites, that's what you're going to find, and they're all made in the same factory. What you're also going to find is they're going to share the same designs and same framework. So I can have this machine, put a new facelift on it, and you'll see it labeled as something else, probably also as Super Ramp. What we want to do is we just want to give you a good idea of what exactly this machine is. We're going to go over a couple things. We'll go over construction, we'll go over features, and then we'll just give you my personal feelings on the machine. You can take them for what they're worth. The first thing I want to do is go over construction. The fundamental basic part of the machine that you want to consider first is the frame. It's what gives you the weight of the frame. It's what gives you the stability of the workout. And this one is pretty big and pretty heavy. So if you look at this thing, first thing to note is it's a larger machine. It's not small. It's also pretty heavy. So if you're a heavier user, this is actually, out of the Icon stuff, it's a pretty good frame. I'm pretty impressed with it, actually. The second thing that you go from there is the flywheel design of an elliptical. That's what gives you the forward motion and the back motion. You'll see ellipticals with flywheels in the back. You'll see them in the front. You'll see them somewhere. They have to be. You have to have something that gives you a forward and back motion. The important thing with this one to consider, especially over their other models, is it is really heavy. It's a lot heavier than their others. And what that means is it's going to feel smooth. It's going to have that carry through. So it'll give you a nice, smooth workout there. The other thing about this is it does have the ramp in the front. That's actually a really big deal. They did something really smart a couple of years ago. They got a hold of a company called Precor. If you're not familiar with them, they are the #1 commercial elliptical manufacturer in the world, and they invented the elliptical category. They allowed this company, to make this design which matches theirs, but they had to keep it under a price point that would not compete with them. So what you have is this company is going to give you a value line with that type of motion. Precor is giving you the best, and it's going to cost a lot more. So it does have the ramp coupled with the rear drive, and what it does is it gives you a really good motion. But I'll get to that in a second. Let's keep going over construction. A couple things about this. Since they're not going to be $3,000 to $4,000 machines, they're going to have to cut a couple corners somewhere. They do it in the pivots, is the first thing. They're going to use a couple sets of bearings, but for the most part it's going to be bushings. And what that means is that you have to heavily grease them so that there's no friction. If there's friction, it's going to start squeaking on you. So if you get something like this and you're like, why is this machine squeaking? You need to add some grease to it. That's the first thing to consider. The other thing is their bolt design on here. It's not real heavy duty. They can loosen up over time, and you gain tolerance. And when you get tolerance, they can start moving back and forth. If they're moving back and forth, that's where you get to your clinking noises, your clunking, those kind of things. So make sure that they're tight, make sure it's lubricated. That's pretty much it on the construction. Heavy frame, heavy flywheel, middle of the road pivots, not as much bearings. From there, I go into the features, and the first thing that I consider in features is the motion. And this is the big part with this guy. It's really strong. Flat-footed at all times, just like at the gym. I have that ramp, I can adjust it up, I can adjust it down. I can change the resistance by 20 different levels. What's really nice is all the variability. I have to do both of those things. First off, the normal way of doing an adjustment on elliptical is I can hit up and down for resistance. On this one I can do that, of course, but I can also do it here. So I can change the resistance on the fly from my hands. I don't have to touch the display. The other thing you have, which I love, is quick touch buttons, which is I can pick a high level resistance or low just by one touch, and it can jump to say 15 or 20 levels of resistance just like that. I don't have to sit there and keep tapping, tapping, tapping. Incline works exactly the same way. I can go directly to 40 degrees or 10 degrees just by a touch of a button, or I can do it the other two ways, which is from the hands or just by pushing up and down. The other thing to note on this machine, as opposed to a lot of the other Icon rear drive machines with the ramp in the front, is this one actually goes to 40 degrees, which is really cool. That's what the commercial machines do. Most of these machines with the ramps go to 25 or 30 degrees, so that's a nice upgrade. You also get a couple other things that might help keep you motivated. The first thing is this does have speakers. So if you have an iPod or an MP3 player, you can put that in there and you can listen to that off of there. The other thing that you've got is you've got handheld heart rate. If you want to check your heart rate, you have a lot of different programs in here, including your iFit programming, which allows you to actually put new programs or downloadable programs into this system and work out on there. So that's the different options that you have on this. I'm going to give you a quick things that I like about this machine and things that I don't like about this machine. I'll start out with the negatives. First negative, it's no fun to put together. There's a lot of components to this thing. There's a lot of nuts, there's a lot of bolts, so plan on spending some time when you're putting it together. The other thing I'm not a big fan about it is they do cut corners on some of the bushings on there where you do have to grease them. You do have to do a little bit of maintenance on there. The third thing, this is probably the biggest weak link on here, is these wheels. They're a little smaller and they're also offset, meaning when you're standing on it, there'll be some flex. Those wheels can go out and they're surprisingly not cheap to replace. So those are the things I don't like about it. Now, things I do like about it. This thing is under $1,000, which is amazing. It's a lot of machine. It feels really good for the money, so I'm really impressed there. The other thing that I love about it is the motion. It's a fantastic motion that does feel a lot like a club machine. And boy, that's about it. I don't care about speakers and all that stuff myself. I just want to enjoy my workout, and I can enjoy this. Enjoying the workout under $1,000 is actually something that's pretty hard to do, and something that has this much weight is pretty impressive. I hope that you come back to us and see more of our reviews that we're going to create in the future. I'm Anthony. This is Rent to Tread. Appreciate you for watching. Thank you so much.